Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. If you're a fan of uncovering Earth's most jaw-dropping secrets, you've come to the right place. Today, we're diving into a story that's been billions of years in the making. A story about how life on Earth nearly ended forever. That's right, we're talking about the closest life has ever come to going extinct. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Give this video a like and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us create more fascinating content like this. So, buckle up. This is going to be one wild ride through history. Part 1. Earth's Turbulent History. For 3.7 billion years, life on Earth has faced its share of challenges: asteroids, solar storms, volcanic eruptions, and much more. Most of the time, these catastrophes didn't drastically change the course of life. But on rare occasions they did. These moments, known as extinction events, reshaped life as we know it. Scientists have identified 31 major extinction events in Earth's history, but 5 of them stand out as particularly catastrophic. These are the Big Five, events so devastating that each wiped out at least 50% of all species. Among them, the most infamous is the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. Part 2. The Great Misconception. When people think of extinction events, they often assume the dinosaur-killing asteroid was the worst. It was sudden, wiping out roughly 75% of species, and its effects were apocalyptic. However, it wasn't the deadliest. That dubious honor belongs to an event so catastrophic that it's known as the Great Dying. This event occurred at the end of the Permian period, about 252 million years ago, and eradicated an astonishing 90 to 96% of all species. The recovery was slow, taking 5 times longer than the aftermath of the dinosaur extinction. Part 3. A World on the Brink. Before the Great Dying, Earth was already struggling. The climate was unbearably hot, with equatorial temperatures soaring to 74 degrees Celsius, 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Hot enough to roast a chicken. Pangaea, the supercontinent of the time, created vast, arid deserts. Rain was scarce, and life was hanging on by a thread. Then the final blow came. Massive volcanic eruptions in what is now Siberia unleashed a chain reaction of apocalyptic proportions. Part 4. The Siberian Traps. By the time the Great Dying began, Earth had transformed into an unrecognizable wasteland. The supercontinent Pangaea sprawled across much of the planet, creating extreme environmental conditions. This massive landmass disrupted weather patterns, leaving vast swaths of the interior arid and inhospitable. With no oceans nearby to regulate temperatures, the climate fluctuated wildly. Temperatures in equatorial regions soared to a blistering 74 degrees Celsius, 165 degrees Fahrenheit, baking the land and rendering it nearly uninhabitable. Rain became a rarity, and colossal deserts dominated the landscape. Even the few remaining forests struggled to survive in these conditions, as rivers and lakes dried up under the unrelenting heat. The size of Pangaea also magnified the scale of disasters. Droughts, wildfires, and ecological collapses spread across the entire continent, leaving no refuge for life. Any small disruption in the food chain reverberated across ecosystems, leading to widespread collapse. The once thriving biosphere, already recovering from previous extinction events, found itself weakened and vulnerable. teetering on the brink of annihilation. Part 5. A Poisonous Atmosphere. The Siberian Trap's eruptions were not just a fiery spectacle. They turned Earth's atmosphere into a suffocating nightmare. Immense quantities of carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and other harmful gases were ejected into the air, fundamentally altering the planet's climate and air quality. The skies darkened as thick layers of volcanic ash blotted out the sun, plunging the world into an eerie twilight. This reduction in sunlight disrupted photosynthesis, crippling plant life and cutting off the food supply for countless species. Acid rain, a byproduct of sulfur dioxide mixing with atmospheric moisture, rained down relentlessly, stripping nutrients from soils, poisoning water sources, and rendering much of the land infertile. These toxic conditions created a cascading chain of destruction, dismantling ecosystems from the ground up and leaving life with few places to seek refuge. Part 6. The Heat and Firestorm. As greenhouse gases flooded the atmosphere, global temperatures soared to unfathomable levels, turning the Earth into a scorching furnace. The heat became so intense that entire forests, dried to a crisp by the unrelenting warmth, began to ignite spontaneously. These fires swept across the land, consuming everything in their path and reducing vast ecosystems to ash. The infernos were so powerful that they wiped out ancient coal swamps, which had once been lush, thriving hubs of biodiversity. These swamps, teeming with life and vital to the planet's carbon cycle, were obliterated in a fiery apocalypse, leaving behind barren, charred landscapes. The firestorms unleashed further devastation. Smoke and soot filled the skies, creating a feedback loop that darkened the atmosphere and disrupted the fragile climate balance even further. As the coal swamps burned, they released massive amounts of stored carbon into the atmosphere, exacerbating the already catastrophic greenhouse effect. The land became unrecognizable, a charred wasteland devoid of life, where once thriving ecosystems had flourished for millions of years. For the creatures that had managed to survive the initial volcanic devastation, these relentless firestorms marked the final nail in the coffin, sealing their fate in a world consumed by flames and heat. Part 7. Oceanic Destruction. The oceans, once the cradles of life on Earth, were transformed into deadly cauldrons by the cataclysmic changes. The intense heat radiating from the planet caused water temperatures to soar to jacuzzi-like levels, far beyond the tolerance of most marine organisms. Coral reefs, essential hubs of ocean biodiversity, bleached and crumbled, while countless species of fish and marine invertebrates succumbed to the unprecedented heat. This rapid warming led to catastrophic die-offs, wiping out entire populations and dismantling the intricate food webs that had sustained life for millions of years. Adding to the devastation, the seas became toxic dead zones due to severe deoxygenation and acidification. The volcanic gases and carbon dioxide absorbed by the oceans disrupted the chemical balance, lowering pH levels to critical thresholds. Acidification dissolved the shells of marine creatures, while the lack of oxygen suffocated even the hardiest species. What were once vibrant underwater ecosystems teeming with life were reduced to barren, lifeless expanses. The marine collapse mirrored the devastation on land, ensuring that no corner of Earth was spared from the unrelenting destruction. Part 8. Radiation Catastrophe. The relentless volcanic activity tore apart Earth's natural defenses, depleting the protective ozone layer that shielded the planet from harmful ultraviolet UV radiation. With this barrier compromised, intense UV rays bombarded the surface, turning the once thriving planet into a hostile, irradiated wasteland. Vegetation suffered first. Delicate plant tissues were scorched, reducing the ability of ecosystems to recover. The plants that survived often exhibited stunted growth and genetic mutations, further destabilizing the food chains dependent on them. Animals, too, faced the brunt of this radiation assault. UV exposure triggered widespread genetic damage, causing deformities, weakened immune systems, and declining reproductive success across multiple species. Many creatures, already struggling to survive the environmental upheavals, succumbed to this invisible threat. The ozone depletion ensured that even as the skies began to clear from ash, the dangers of radiation lingered, adding yet another devastating blow to a planet already teetering on the brink of collapse. Part 9: The Ups and Downs of Extinction. Unlike the catastrophic asteroid impact that swiftly wiped out the dinosaurs, the Great Dying unfolded in violent pulses, each wave of destruction more harrowing than the last. Between these devastating events, there were short intervals of relative calm, offering a fleeting sense of stability. But these periods of respite were always shattered by another cataclysmic wave, each pulse more deadly than the one before. Life on Earth was repeatedly thrust to the edge of extinction, struggling to recover, only to be struck down again by environmental shocks. With each new wave, ecosystems crumbled and entire species disappeared, unable to cope with the ever-changing and hostile conditions. These cycles of hope and despair created an unstable environment, where survival was a fragile and fleeting achievement. The cumulative effects of these repeated extinctions altered the course of life on Earth, leaving a radically different planet in the wake of each pulse, with ecosystems and species constantly reshaping in an unpredictable, chaotic dance. Part 10: A World Transformed. By the end of the Permian period, Earth had been radically reshaped into a barren, lifeless landscape. Vast stretches of desert-like environments dominated the continents, with the once thriving ecosystems now decimated. The biosphere was unrecognizable, a shadow of its former self, as only the toughest and most resilient creatures managed to cling to survival in the harsh new world. These survivors would become the foundation for the rebirth of life, setting the stage for the emergence of new species and ecosystems during the Triassic period. The planet, though deeply scarred, was primed for a slow but steady recovery, as life would begin to flourish once more in the wake of the devastation. Despite the horrors of the Great Dying, life found a way to recover. It took millions of years, but new species emerged and ecosystems rebuilt themselves. The story of Earth's mass extinctions is not just one of destruction, but also of resilience and rebirth. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Earth's most catastrophic event. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and take care.